Let's love humanity. Let's uplift humanity. That only leads to confusion. To disconnect from humanity is to disconnect from confusion, which is the feeling we get whenever we're in illusion or delusion. But don't you love humanity? What's wrong with people? I'm not here saying there's anything wrong with anything or anybody. I'm the first to say all is perfect and necessary. But we are in Shadowland right now, going through a purgatorial process. And if we wish to consent to letting go of our emotional energies, to feel empathy or sympathy or compassion for anything we deem as incorrect or wrong, then we are no better than humanity. And look at the state of humanity right now. Seems unfair? Seems unjust? Why? The overarching cosmic principle of all creation is as within, so without. Meaning, we are only ever experiencing a whirlwind of our own energies masqueraded as other things in order to walk through the symbolic aspects of ourselves that can't be consciously known and interpreted. So, knowing this and understanding this, how on earth could any of us maintain that there are evils in the world, that there are ills to feel emotional about? Let's be very honest with ourselves. The only reason we ever feel as if we must love all of humanity is because we feel as if that would lead to freedom. But it's not your job to uplift anybody or instruct anybody. That is to play God. To think that we can rearrange anything is to play the game of hierarchy, which has been played here for too long. And one might say, but aren't you playing this very game right now? You're saying disconnect from humanity. Isn't that saying you're above humanity? It's not about above or below, better or worse. It's about taking back all energies in order to really know what's happening. Everything here, for the most part, 99.9% of it is steeped in confusion. For a world that has so many systems of belief and thought, there are like no examples of beings who are truly uplifting what is true. Therefore, let's not hurt ourselves by thinking we're bad for not having specific emotional ties to humanity. I want you to visualize the divine, maybe a god or the gods, the goddesses, however you see fit. Maybe even some majestic fairy tale creatures who are deemed godlike. I guarantee you visualize beings who do not coalesce to petty emotional appeals. Manipulation always requires that you emotionally feel something, usually something like sympathy or empathy. When we open up our energy fields with directed emotion, energy in motion, that is when we can be manipulated. But it's not because of any manipulator or oppressor. The only reason we can be conned is if we have conned ourselves into thinking that this false feeling is necessary. I have these phrases like false empathy and false compassion. And these phrases mean emotional states where we think it's necessary for us to feel a specific way about an event or about a person. And there is always a triangle of victim, oppressor, and savior involved in these false emotional states. Victim, oppressor, savior. If we ever feel bad for another or for a group of beings, we are basically saying they are victims. We are forgetting or just not recognizing, not realizing that overarching divine principle of as within, so without. Everybody deserves exactly what they receive in all moments, even in the moments that feel like they should be getting a beautiful gift in their stockings, but they're getting coal. Let us disconnect from the ways of the world. Most would agree that loving humanity and aiming to solve humanity is beneficial, including many celebrities and politicians. Love everyone. Feel bad for this group. Donate to this charity. These should be great reflections of what is not true. It is not true that anyone is being victimized here. To say, well, the divine exists, but you don't get that this happened and this happened to my mother-in-law or to my race or to this group of people in this country. You can't say that while maintaining there is any divine force, because that means the divine force, which rules everything, even rules the so-called victimization. We can't serve two masters. And if we do, we get confused. We get really damn confused and distant from what is real and authentic. Many have wondered, are we in an artificial simulation? What is happening? Things don't really add up. You know why things don't add up? Because we're in purgatory. And in purgatory, as we step through the shadows of our own energy fields, the world gets crazier and crazier because the world literally is catching the energy we are unloading onto the net of magnetics. Humanity at large is akin to the background characters in our dreams. Isn't that insensitive? Why is that insensitive? It's the truth. Who is uplifting themselves? Who? Where are they?
Well, I have a friend, and they're going through this, and they just got into astrology, and this.
Hey. I'm not talking about getting into beliefs. I'm talking about disconnecting from all that wishes to suck us dry. But as I say this, I don't actually mean there are parasitic forces that are hungry, that are wishing to hurt you or to extract you. We are here to learn, to maintain our emotional energy in order to resurrect Christ consciousness, in order to embody the fullness of the heart. We already know everything is false here, so why wouldn't how empathy is advertised be completely bogus too? It is. Empathy is defined as the ability to understand another's emotions, like put yourself in their shoes. That's a farce, because we don't have to feel as if we're going through the same thing another is going through. That's kind of like hive mind behavior. By knowing as within, so without, we understand all is perfect. Thus, we can understand what anyone is going through. Now, sympathy is what is advertised as empathy. Be sympathetic towards this woe of the world, or this situation out of the hands of the experiencer. We do not need to feel bad for ourselves or for anyone else. Now, I'm about to bring up a topic which has irked quite a few people in my YouTube journey, and that's okay. AI consciousness. Temporary consciousness. Most of the beings we see and even interact with are nothing more than manifestations of duality presented on the outside. This is the exact reason why confusion reigns. Because one who originated in the material has no connection to anything other than the material and its offerings. The living souls, the finite number of game players here, originated outside of the material. Therefore, as we awaken out of our sleep, our slumber, we can't help but see how much illusion everyone is consenting to. No matter where you look, in spiritual circles, in religious circles, yes, absolutely. That's no different than any other aspect of this land.
But everybody's trying their best. Isn't everybody trying their best? You're a terrible person for saying that.
Okay. More oppressor, victim, savior. We don't need to engage in any of this tomfoolery. But when we disengage from it, we end up being unfit for human consumption. Beings have asked me, why are you so cold? Like, why are you inhuman at times? Well, one, because that is not what this situation is. Take it or leave it. And two, because I fully understand the fallacy of tying yourself to petty emotionality. There are true feelings that emerge, which are so wonderful and beautiful, but they cannot emerge. They get suffocated when we're experimenting with the petty emotional ties to the third dimension. So, yes, I am quite inhuman. I am quite cold. I don't care about anybody's struggles, because they're all perfect, even if we wish to disregard AI consciousness. It's all perfect. Is it not? Well, that's too simple. Inform me of your complexity then. Brief me on how many details I must take into account, dear petty human. So, disconnect from humanity, disconnect from confusion. If we act like humans, then we play the charade that leads to the destruction we see around us. Then we play with the consciousness that really isn't fitting for one to leave samsara, the cycle of birth and death. We have this phrase, fake it till you make it, and it's kind of iffy, because on one hand, we shouldn't fake anything. We should always be authentic in our expression and our realization. However, there is a subtle truth. Maybe not fake it till you make it, but act as you wish to be. Conduct yourself in a way that you truly value and respect. And all living souls can verify that to act like the creatures we see around us is to dig our own holes, climb in without a ladder, and when we do this, we always have to climb out. Any bit of illusion needs to be ripped away. Act like a Hyperborean. Act like one who has already surpassed the third dimension. Why? Do you want to enter back into the eternal? I do. Okay. Then don't act like a stupid human. Got it? Good.